One day in August 2021, my first month of teaching, a student came to me and told me that Amna was crying. I knew Amna to be an energetic child, but often getting into trouble. So I thought this must be a spat between kids. Someone must have took someone's eraser. I followed her thinking that was it, but as I neared the classroom, I saw that Amna was breaking down. She was struggling for breath, crying uncontrollably, and she kept on shouting that she was scared. There were about 20 kids surrounding her, but she looked inconsolable. I froze. I cluelessly stood and watched from a distance as other staff members called her parents, asked other students to be seated, and tried to comfort her. Amna was eventually sent home, and I chalked this as a one off incident. But as I spent time with my students, occurrences like these became very common, and I realized that something bigger was at play. It was becoming routine for me to have to stop class because a kid would start crying. Students would often get into physical fights with each other, arguments resorting to pushing and shoving. It was the norm. When I looked at my classroom, I saw burdened children, some low on energy, some extremely angry, and many scarily quiet, to the point that they would not even make eye contact with me. To understand the why, I started asking questions from the kids about their routines. I conducted one on ones and did many reflection exercises. I learned that many of them were burdened with the weight of domestic responsibilities. Some experienced violence at home and in school. Plus, these girls are teenagers, already puzzled by the emotional upheaval that comes with that age. Their emotional outbursts took many forms and was affecting how they showed up in classroom for themselves and for others. It was not only harmful for them to be, but also proving to be a deterrent in their growth. No doubt that these children had external stresses, but they also had no tools to help them think about, understand, or process what they were going through. And the current education system and curriculum was not designed to equip them with these tools. Meanwhile, since the kids had found an outlet to express themselves, I was realizing that 100 kids banking on telling me or my co fellows every time something went wrong was not just unsustainable for us, but also for them. They did not need an emotional crutch, they needed to manage their emotions themselves. So I decided that I was going to design a social emotional skills curriculum according to my kids' contexts. During that time, I was looking at organizations doing similar work, and I connected with Community First Foundation, an organization founded by a Teach for India alum that was teaching social emotional learning skills through the medium of artwork. The concept behind this was to use art techniques like painting, coloring, drawing, collages, etc., to inculcate different social emotional skills. And here is how it happened. Over the course of 3 months, I conducted 16 sessions to inculcate these 5 competencies. These were done through 4 SEL chapters: compassion, self awareness, resilience, and emotional regulation, each achieving different student learning objectives within that chapter. For example, one of the kids' most favorite sessions was when they were able to learn that we often perceive things differently. This was done by looking at this picture and drawing the first animal they saw. That helped them see that differing views does not always mean that that the views are wrong. Another example of this is when students painted to the sound of different music. This made them more aware of how surrounding stimuli affect their movements. Data collected after each session showed 87% of the students had been equipped with the competencies each session aimed to inculcate. Moreover, not only could I see improvement in behavioral issues, students now showed greater interest in their studies, leading to improved classroom culture and more motivation to carry out activities related to learning. A result of that was the student led initiative to conduct an art exhibition in Jharki, one of the communities in Sehala. Overall, the curriculum provided Overall, the curriculum provided my students with the skills, support, and opportunities to express themselves creatively. It nurtured their self awareness. They were able to describe how they were feeling in different instances with specific responses, like when Arud said she was overjoyed because of her test marks, or when Cedar told me she felt sad but mostly angry because she knew she was being treated unfairly because of her gender. The shift in classroom culture was palpable. I could see students not only saying things like, we will give emotional support to each other, disagreements were being resolved through discussion. Yesterday was the last day of my school, but I'm confident that I have left my students equipped with socio-emotional skills that will help them beyond the 2 years I have spent with them. And as for Amna, she was an enthusiastic participant in the socio-emotional learning curriculum, is always the most energetic in group practices, and is often showcasing her talent not only in art but also singing, sports, and robotics class.